Guys, it is Doug. Welcome to a very special video review edition of Spooky Villages. I have one of my unicorn pieces, one of the unicorn pieces, one of the hardest pieces to find in Spooky Town. And I want to give a big shout out to viewer Frank. I'm not going to say his full name, but Frank, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity. So he actually messaged me. He had a carnival collection and he said he was about to sell them. He offered this building up for a very, very fair price. He could have gotten a lot more because it is mint and never been used. A Lemax Spooky Town Octo-Squeeze, again in mint condition. I am jacked to talk about this. So, let's talk about the piece, why it is so rare and why it's so revered by collectors. If you've been around Spooky Town at all or Halloween mini villages, for a little bit of time, you've probably heard about this building. And if you haven't, I'll explain it as well, because maybe you're confused about it even if you have heard about it, and you wonder why it's so hard to find. Well, so this was released as a Michaels exclusive in 2008. It didn't last long though. It was actually pulled from shelves because the paint on it hadn't cured right. And or it was a paint that wouldn't cure or dry, and actually mine is sticky. So I've actually heard of this happening before. Anytime you have something made overseas, or really I guess, even in the States here, this can happen, but I used to collect Hot Wheels cars, okay, once upon a time. And in other die casts, and that would happen every once in a while. You'd have a paint job, whether something with the paint mix wasn't right, and you'd have issues with that. Well, that's what this piece had. So it was actually pulled from Michael's store. So you had a piece that looked amazing. I mean, come on, look at that. The Octo-Squeeze is killer looking, and it was pulled from stores. So it did come back though. I believe the next couple of years it was offered from online retailers like eHobby Tools, but it was eventually pulled from them as well. So it was also mechanically complex. And a lot of people at the time didn't understand that you have to cycle up and down your Spooky Town pieces. Especially cycling down is important when you turn them off. Not all Spooky Town pieces are like it, but in general, if you have a piece that's animated, you are best to turn it off. And we're going to talk about, turn it off by the switch, I should say. We'll talk about that in just a second. This is a great piece to talk about that. So, yeah, it's just very hard to find these, especially in working condition, in good working condition. They can be hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Because the theme park pieces are tough to find anyways. But then you have how this was retired and how desirable it is, blah, blah, blah. It's just very hard to find. Frank, thank you. I guess I'm going to have to do a carnival display now, right? A bigger carnival display because I've got this guy. It's a centerpiece. So let's see what the Octo-Squeeze looks like, shall we? Here it is, guys, the Octo-Squeeze. Now, I actually have run this before. I wanted to make sure it worked. When I got in, I was terrified UPS was going to screw it up or something. But no, totally fine. Look at the spooky octopus here. It looks great. This is just a fantastic looking building. I mean, it looks killer. One of the things I did not know about this piece though is, because I've seen pictures of it, but look at that. It's pliable arms and the paint is sticky. That is that sticky paint. Top here isn't, but yes, just very sticky, and there's like styrofoam from the box still stuck in it. But you can see here, love the textured water below. Love that sign. Check that out right there, the Octo-Squeeze sign. It looks it's killer. It's like a big squid. It looks like attacking a ship. The actual ride, of course, it's nothing crazy. It's like an elephant ride. I know the zombie plane ride that was released a couple of years ago is actually the same working mechanism for it. It's just like an elephant ride that goes up and down. Nothing crazy there, but man, the theming on this is just freaking amazing. And the sea monster theme, octopus, that's not done a lot, and it looks amazing. And fit and finish on this is just spectacular. I mean, the paint job looks great. Yes, the paint is sticky, but it just looks killer. Absolutely love this. So, and you know what? I should also give a plug here. My friend Ryan's video projects on YouTube, I'll link him below. He actually did a guest column on spookyvillages.com, my website. Yes, I actually had some content go up on the website. He did his top 10 of all time, and he's a longtime Spooky Town collector. And he helped me out with a lot of the info for the Octo-Squeeze because he was there, around when it released. And he actually has one. He's got some video of one on his channel. And his top 10 is awesome, and the Octo-Squeeze is part of it. So, this is when Lemax Spooky Town Carnival rides really started to come into their own with the Octo-Squeeze. This is kind of the first modern carnival piece that they've really done. And again, it just helps with the collectability of it and the desirability. You can see here different monsters. It's people dressed up as monsters, really. Well, I guess the witch kind of looks like a witch, and Frankie over here, he actually looks like Frankenstein. But whether they're monsters, whether they're people, that's up for you to decide with the story of your village, right? But yeah, so let's talk about the cycling real fast before I stop blabbing about this. And I'm going to do a very lengthy animation video on this with the lights and sound. It's gonna be longer than I've ever done one before. I don't care. Let it run, baby. This is I'm just excited to have this thing. So the Oct-O-Squeeze though, the cycling up and down. What I mean by that are the powering on and off cycling. You know, you got a switch here, right? A lot of buildings have switches. Well, this is very, very important that you power this one off correctly. When it starts, it rises up and starts going, so it has a 0 like a home position. And when you turn it off, you actually need to turn it off with the switch. If you turn it off with the switch, it goes back to the 0 position, you know, the home position, and it takes a second to do that. You'll see I'm gonna power it up and power it down in the video here so you can see it. If people unplug this and don't let it cycle down, you're gonna burn the motor out. You could do a lot of damage to it, and that's the problem. A lot of people do the damage to it. I'll put a list below the buildings I know of that have to have the cycling, but even the ones that don't have to have it technically, I can tell you, if you have an animated piece, it's generally very good idea and best practice to just power it off with the switch. And I know that might seem, you know, easy, you know, for some of you folks. You might think, well, duh, who wouldn't turn it off with a switch? Well, here's the thing. If you have a big display, and I'm guilty of this too, when you build a big display and you have all of these various power adapters going into different, you know, power supplies and everything, it can be daunting to turn off 20 buildings individually, or some of you guys have even more than that, right? So it can be easy to just, you know, kind of pull the master power switch and just let it be like that. I've been lazy on that too. I can tell you that will never happen though, especially now that I've got this bad boy. I'm scared to actually run this in a display, but you know what? I don't want it to just sit in the shelf, in the box. I am going to run it now and then. I'm not going to run it a bunch, but you can be sure I'm going to be careful cycling it down. I would recommend you guys out there definitely cycle up and down. I know that while Lemax Spooky Town buildings are not exactly known for their reliability, that can hurt them big time, and people can you know, drastically shorten the lifespan on their own by doing that. And I think Lemax has not done a very good job of, you know, advertising that more, that you need to be careful cycling up and cycling down. Mainly cycling down, because when you add power, it's whatever, but taking off the power, a lot of people just yank the adapter. You don't want to do that. That would be disastrous with an Oct-O-Squeeze. There aren't a ton of them left that work great like this. So yeah, guys, that is a long spiel I have about the Oct-O-Squeeze. If you can't tell, I'm totally jacked. Thank you, Frank, you know, for hooking me up with this. And he did not give this to me, by the way. He did not give this to me. I paid for it. It was a good price, though, a fantastic price. He could have gotten a lot more of this, you know, from this had he have decided to sell it. So big thanks, dude. And big thank you to Ryan at Ryan's Video Projects for the article that he wrote. I have more guest columnists coming up with their top 10. And again, the Oct-O-Squeeze though was on his article, and he did a really nice little brief history of it. So guys, all right, that is me talking a lot about the Oct-O-Squeeze. I adore this piece. This is you know, this with the it's my most valuable Lemax Spooky Town piece in my collection. I have my Jack's Pumpkin Carving Studio from Department 56. That and this are now my two gems in my collection that I never ever want to part with. I love them, and I'm happy they got good homes. That's why Frank offered this to me. He said he's a fan of the you know, watching these videos, and he wanted to go to a good home. Well, Frank, this Oct-O-Squeeze has a very good home. I will treat it well. So guys, thank you very much. Here is a lengthy video of the Oct-O-Squeeze in action. And if you can ever find one of these things, jump on it. Just jump on it. It's a great building, and I hope you can find one that works. And may luck be with you if you're looking for one. So thank you guys very much, and I'll be back here soon with more videos. Here's the Oct-O-Squeeze in all its glory.